Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
The budget has been met with general optimism here in Tasmania, with Labor funding several of its election promises from earlier this year. The state also stands to benefit from wider commitments, but the headline is a hefty increase to our state's coffers.
The revised budget delivered a surprise windfall for Tasmania. $1.3 billion in extra GST over 4 years.
It's a stronger position for our budget as a result of the strong economic growth and the plan that we've had here in Tasmania, which has directly led to the growth in population.
But the man in control of the purse strings says GST is volatile and he's not counting his chickens yet.
What is it, 9:24? In 36 minutes, I fully expect the Tasmanian Labor opposition to be coming out and telling the government how to spend this money.
At 10 a.m, the leader of the opposition rose in question time and did exactly that, saying it should go to striking public sector workers.
Your latest wage offer to workers in our hospitals, schools and other essential public services is just 3.25%.
The TCCI says it could go towards subsidising energy costs.
We've always said that Tasmania really should benefit from the infrastructure it's put in over the years, and we'd like to see a price for Tasmanian users that's different than the national price.
There was no widespread relief from cost of living pressures. Social bodies had been searching for a spike in job seeker, but say other initiatives will help advance gender equality.
Those childcare subsidies and the increase in the paid parenting allowance, that will have a real impact on women being able to get into the workforce and rejoin the workforce when they've had a break.
While light on detail, the Housing Accord is welcome news for the 4,000 Tasmanians on the social housing waitlist. It's also music to the ears of the state's construction industry.
If we meet those targets, that in Tasmania we will meet that magic 3,000 houses per year number, which is what we need to put downward pressure on housing affordability.
This budget was mostly about fulfilling Labor's commitments from the recent federal election. Tasmania was a key battleground, and so there are a lot of promises to keep here. As expected, there's $50 million for Near-Star's redevelopment, $60 million for an upgraded Hobart Airport runway and $100 million for irrigation projects. Launceston's WP Holman Clinic will receive funds, so too the Clifford Craig Medical Research Foundation. However, there's no timeline for cash promised to the Devonport Oval redevelopment and the Far Northwest Tourism Project. And as expected, there's nothing for an AFL stadium at Macquarie Point. Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmania News.
Public sector unions have set a date for industrial action after talks over a new pay and conditions deal broke down yesterday. State service workers, ranging from teachers to cleaners, will walk off the job on November 9. Unions say while they're open to continue talking with the state government, members will not accept the wages and conditions offer in its current form.
They were hopeful that negotiations could resolve that, but seeing as we were not presented with an acceptable offer yesterday, we're now moving forward.
Government Minister Guy Barnett says they're committed to finding a responsible and balanced agreement. Well, stage 1 of a $300 million housing master plan is complete, with 18 new properties built in Kingston. The Kings Quarter development seeing Tasmania one step closer to solving a statewide housing crisis.
Isabella Ryan's dream of becoming a homeowner now a reality.
The market at the moment, it's hard to buy where you want to be. There's also, again, I'm really happy and really lucky to be able to be living in Kingston as I've done more or less my whole life.
She's one of many moving into Kingston's new housing development.
We imagine there's going to be a mix of ages and people with young families and also some retirees who are downsizing.
Predominantly though, they are local Tasmanians, so there's only very few people from the mainland who have bought.
18 of the 80 homes now built.
They originally started selling in the low 600s, and over time with increases in construction costs and the like, that increased.
It just goes to show this was such a popular development, the fact that they have all sold out before some of them have even been started building.
The demand highlighting Tasmania's ongoing housing crisis, with nearly 4,500 Tasmanians applying for social housing in the past year.
We need to do things differently going forward. That's why we have the biggest commitment
financially and in every respect to build more homes faster for Tasmanians.
Construction of the 62 remaining properties is due to be complete this time next year. Brianna Boylan, 7 Tasmania News.
The Greens say claims of dangerous food additives in Tasmanian salmon require further investigation. They're calling on the Environment Minister Roger Yench to review levels of ethoxyquin, which has been banned in the EU.
This is a very serious issue, not just of the health and of the marine environment and potentially of consumers, but of the credibility of Tasmania's clean and green brand.
In question time this morning, the Environment Minister said he will seek further advice on the matter. Motorists are being warned to top up their car now, with the cost of petrol expected to surge. It's feared prices could spike by 40 cents this week. The pump pain is worst at Hobart and Launceston CBD's Bowsers, with drivers paying just shy of $2 a litre. It follows last month's return to the full fuel excise, which was temporarily cut by the former government. The Tasmanian Aboriginal Centre has raised concerns over a police professional standards investigation into claims a young Aboriginal man was assaulted in custody last Thursday. The probe found no immediate action against any officer involved was required. The TAC says no contact has been made on the matter with the alleged victim and is demanding an independent inquiry into the matter. Tasmanians are being asked to steer clear of the Launceston General Hospital's emergency department unless suffering severe or life-threatening conditions. The facility is managing a surge in demand. The department is pleading for patience from people presenting to emergency, saying patients with less severe symptoms could face longer wait times. The counting has begun in the state's local government elections, with a number of mayoral positions already decided. For more, we're joined by our state political reporter Josh Duggan. Josh, first, how many Tasmanians returned their votes?
Kim, the Tasmanian Electoral Commission says just shy of 85% of votes were returned this year, the first with compulsory voting, with every council over 80%. Here at the Hotel Grand Chancellor, the votes for 13 southern councils have been tallied since this morning. The 100-strong crew here will continue for a couple more hours tonight until all mayors have been elected. The first few results are rolling in now after first preferences in Hobart. Incumbent Anna Reynolds has a slight lead, and there's some long-serving councillors such as former Lord Mayor Damon Thomas and 28-year council veteran Jeff Briscoe, who look like they could be missing out. In Clarence, Brendan Blomley and Tony Mulder are neck and neck, while in Glenorchy, Beck Thomas will be re-elected. We're still waiting for a result in Launceston, but in nearby Northern Midlands, Mary Knowles has been re-elected, and in the northwest, in Burnie, Steve Cons is being challenged by Teeny Brumby after first preferences. And then in the Tasman Council, we've seen the first sitting mayor be unseated. Kelly Spalding has been defeated. And more results will flow in tonight. Kim?
Plenty happening. Thank you very much there, Josh. Josh Duggan. In the counting room, tons of specialised parts and equipment have been delivered to a northern Tasmanian asphalt plant in a massive operation. The company says its $10 million project will double supply, as well as slashing the amount of waste heading to landfill.
Like a massive Lego set, these pieces are waiting to be put together. Skilled hands needed to assemble more than 350 tonnes of components for a state-of-the-art asphalt plant in Launceston.
The Down is heavily investing into Tasmania, into the foreseeable future, replacing an old asset that we have that's past its use-by date.
The new facility boosting the manufacturer's green credentials, capable of recycling old asphalt, crushed glass, soft plastics and old tyres. The result? A more environmentally friendly option for new footpaths, driveways and roads across the state's north.
Being sustainable and closing the loop is very important to Downer's vision and focus.
Recent heavy rainfall may have put a dampener on the build, but not on the crew. Second-year carpentry apprentice Matthew Badger, happy to get his feet wet.
It has been a bit wet lately, yes. It's made it very challenging here. We've got pumps running 24/7 pretty much at the moment, trying to disperse the water out so we can get back in and start working efficiently.
The Greenfield site demanding a whole set of new skills.
Learning heaps. It's a little bit different from what we're used to, but we're building weigh bridges, a lot of form work.
Bringing in all of this equipment has been a mammoth effort for crews. It took 4 days and 40 truckloads to bring everything to site.
It's hoped the new facility will be up and running by March. Annie Green, 7 Tasmanian News.
After years of development, a Tasmanian-made fishing game is now making a splash, rapidly spreading to 23 countries. Fishcoin allows anglers to cast a line with their mates anywhere in the world, settling bragging rights once and for all.
Hey mate, I reckon I can catch more fish than you in the next 30 minutes.
Righto mate, Fishcoin up, you're on.
The most Tasmanian game you could imagine is now reeling in fans.
It's a great tool to take fishing and basically put your money where your mouth is.
On the app Fishcoin, anglers earn points when they catch real fish out on the water. The bigger the haul, the higher the score. A simple premise which has spread to some surprising destinations after launching at last month's World Fly Fishing Championships in Spain.
India, there's also Afghanistan, Malaysia, Indonesia.
And it all began when Tasmanian developer Josh Walker dreamt up the idea over a couple of beers 4 years ago.
A lot of people interested and going, what is this?
Time's up. Told ya. Good luck. Double or nothing? You're on.
For the casual caster, it cuts through the bluff and banter between mates.
There's a lot of hype about it at the moment.
A niche idea which is catching on. Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmanian News. Good evening. 6 different bowlers are on the score sheet in Tasmania's Marsh One-Day Cup clash underway in Launceston. But none could take down Marcus Harris, the Victorian posting an unbeaten 142. The Tigers now chasing down 265. With a shake of the hands between the officials, One-Day Cup cricket was back in Launceston for the first time since 2009 and the first time ever at UTAS Stadium. And the Tigers had a good taste of the turf when Ben McDermott put down Mackenzie Harvey in a juggling act gone wrong. All he got was an injured finger. Near catches were aplenty. Caleb Jewell nearly snatched a Hail Mary from the slips before one finally stuck.
Harvey off a leading edge. This should be caught at mid-off, and it is.
Whatever the Tigers threw at the Vicks, there seemed to be an answer. The wind was going. Luckily, the rain had stopped, so fans could see Nathan Ellis take a screamer off the deck.
Ellis comes in and takes a magnificent catch.
Bo Webster tempted the Victorian captain Peter Hanscom into Tim Ward's mitts. Tom Rogers also had his moment.
Through the middle and gone. Another wicket.
But Marcus Harris had a bigger one, notching up a match-saving century. His support was feeble, the middle order fell cheaply. Victoria eventually posting a defendable 265. Tasmania boasting 6 different wicket takers, now the task of chasing down the target in Launceston tonight. Player payments will be under the microscope across 8 of Tasmania's football leagues next season, with clubs signing up to salary caps in a bid to make the game sustainable. Exemptions will be in place for one-off appearances, but clubs are being warned they will face hefty punishments if caught.
The pursuit of premiership glory has led to an arms race across sections of Tasmanian footy, costing money and creating haves and have-nots. But the final siren will blow on unlimited spending in 2023.
The conversation has always been around how do we make sure footy's sustainable and how do we make sure clubs are spending in a way that is sustainable.
8 leagues, including Old Scholars, will operate under a salary cap. The State League cap will jump to $110,000 per season. SFL, NTFA Premier Division and NWFL clubs can spend up to $65,000, while teams in the Darwin and NWFA are limited to $30,000 per club per year. The SFL says transparency is the winner.
Clubs can now put that all on top of the table and it can come in under the system. So we're all really aware of what the players are being paid.
Punishments for breaches range from fines to deregistration, with an AFL Tasmania unit to sort fact from fiction.
Our role in this and the investigators' role in this will be make sure we're sorting out what's just rumour mill and what is a legitimate breach.
It's great that AFL Tasmania have come forward now with the money to give us the resources to make sure we do replace it.
Clubs will be monitored throughout the year, but the first big test of the model will come at the end of the season, with AFL Tasmania to audit a selection of grand final teams.
If you don't do anything wrong, you've got nothing to worry about, but if you do flagrantly breach the rules, watch out.
John Hunt, 7 Tasmania News.
A key figure in the Hobart Chargers NBL1 South title win has signed on for another season. Ollie Angerstein knocking back offers from interstate to stay in southern Tasmania. Despite a successful 2022, his first year back in the sport after a stint playing footy, the forward says he has room for improvement.
I really want to focus on redeveloping my game again, to where I was when I stopped playing basketball at 18.
He's an integral part of this club, and now you can build a team around him. So it's all systems go.
The coach says developing Tasmanians will be a focus in 2023.
Good evening. 23 was the state's top today in Launceston, Devonport 22, 20 in Burnie, 15 in Hobart, 19 across Smithton and Lowhead, St Helens 16 and 15 in Flinders Island. On the close-up shows, mostly low-level clouds spiralling around a low centred near Flinders Island. Further out, thunderstorms are seen over the top end and coastal Queensland. Tomorrow, a complex low sits over Tasmania with centres over the east and another over the west coast. Northwesterly winds tomorrow 10 to 20 knots in the northern half of the state. In the southern half, southeasterly winds are expected at 15 to 25 knots. A severe weather warning for damaging winds is current for the east coast, central North Midlands, west coast and the central plateau. A strong wind warning for the west coast, central North Bank Strait, Franklin Sound, Flinders Island and the west coast. Flood warnings for the South Esk, Macquarie, Meander and the North Esk rivers, a flood watch for the North, North East Derwent and South East catchments, and a road weather alert for the East Coast and South East forecast districts. Tomorrow's forecast now: Hobart and Cygnet, rain and 16 showers in New Norfolk. In the north, showers in Launceston, 16 across Devonport and Campbelltown. Burnie and Smithton tomorrow, showers, Strawn 18. St Helens and Swansea showers and 16 in Fingal. The UV forecast is high 7s across the state. Looking ahead to the 3-day forecast now: Friday, showers increasing about the west during the evening. Saturday, showers mostly about the west, and Sunday, showers in the northwest during the late afternoon. Capital cities 23 and partly cloudy in Perth tomorrow. Adelaide showers and 25 in Sydney. And currently Hobart rain and 14, Launceston 18 and Devonport rain and 15. That's all in weather tonight, Kim.
Thank you, Jackie, and that's all your news for now. We'll be back later with updates. Thanks for your company tonight. Good night.